story of the decline and our attempt to reintroduce the osprey to Portugal. Ospreys were quite common in the beginning of the 20th century, and then they followed a long decline in the country.
Постепенное снижение популяции скопы по всей стране, пока они практически совсем не исчезли к 2001 году. Мы попытались сделать исследование минимальное, хотя что количество чисел популяции в начале 20 века составляли около 22-30 пар. Но позже, может быть, и было больше, поскольку они, этот вид в кластерах размножается и гнездуется. Очень возможно, что это только минимальное число, которое мы установили. Снижение было обусловлено тем, что, во-первых, их преследовали в начале века и поселением людей по побережью, распределением, появлением новых городов, рост городов, туристических поселений и так далее.
So this is a picture of how the population declined. It was an overview made of data from several sources, from the literature to the data collected by interviews with old fishermen and other local inhabitants of the coast, and also the distribution of geographic references, toponymic references to the species, because the species has a very stable popular name. It is called Ginshu, and there are many references along the coast to the location of these ginsha nests. So in the beginning, the desertion of nest sites began around growing urban areas and first summer holiday settlements in the beginning of the 20th century. But at the same time, there was rewarded persecution by the state, as in other countries in Europe, and the ospreys were perhaps the species, the raptor species, that suffered more because of its vulnerability. In the second half of the century, and after 1960, the decline was due to the onset of the mass tourism in the southern coast. Here, this is the southern coast, this is the southern part of Portugal, the southwestern coast, and the western coast further north. And in this northward.
Что касается севера.
Okay. This area here is the only one where we have reference of tree nesting in an old pine from the 15th century. An old pine wood that was changed. The management changed in the 60s of the last century. So the ospreys disappeared at that time. And this is the last breeding area known in Portugal after the 70s. This is the way the population went down, and it eventually got extinct, despite the fact that a large part of the coast was already under protection status. And most important was the fact that the rocky coast was to a 1 kilometer wide hunting, where hunting is forbidden. It was created in 88, in 87, all along the coast. And that was very important to protect the ospreys. But nevertheless, they got extinct. We made a first unsuccessful attempt in 1999 to make an introduction project. So we worked on it for a long time, but eventually we couldn't have the support from government, and then we had to give it. And this followed the accidental death of the last breeding female. The present project ultimate goal is to re-establish a breeding population along the rocky coast of Portugal when it was from where it disappeared lost by lost. And because several natural parks exist along the coast, so the habitat is quite well protected, we could say. But of course there are pressures from human utilization of the coast. And we started by choosing the reintroduction area. We made a preliminary suitability assessment of different areas, from large estuaries to large coastal marshlands, and also a large dam. And we had the help of experts from our consulting board and from the northern countries like Pedro and Bjorn Elander, who you can see in this photo in the southwest. And then eventually we chose the Alceva Dam, which is a large reservoir. In fact, it's the largest reservoir in Europe, at least in Western Europe. And it has 250 square kilometers of surface and a very long shoreline, above 1,000 kilometers. And it has also lots of islands left. So it has about 200 islands. And these islands are under state administration. And this area was chosen because it was, among the others, the one with less pressure, human pressure. And at the same time, it had plenty of food resources, plenty of space for foraging and for nesting. And even the pressure, the human pressure, is quite easily manageable because there's no industry, there's no large towns, and it's quite a rural, quiet country. It is located in the Guadiana Valley, Guadiana Basin, and near the Spanish border. And the project facilities are located here in this peninsula, in the middle of the main body of the reservoir. And then main project facilities are, of course, field-based, because it's quite isolated. The place is quite isolated. A hacking tower. We have a boat, a car, and this is a floating cage for fish, for having fish as a reserve for feeding the ospreys. And also we have other things like feeders, where we put the fish after the birds are released, and artificial perches for easing perching of the birds during the first week. They have trouble in perching on trees. And it's the structure of the hacking facility. And first problem to tackle is the temperature. It's the high temperatures in summer. So we receive the birds in early July, and they stay there until mid-September. And during the first 3 to 4 weeks, they stay on the cages. And the temperatures are 40 degrees very often. So the first problem to tackle is to lower the temperatures as far as we can. And the hacking tower is facing north. It's also shaded by a tree. It has a cover, and beneath the cover there's another cover with palm fronds. And we have a panel, a side panel, to block the sunlight during the afternoon. And the birds are released by folding the front panels. After that, they are fed on these feeders. We pass with the car, and then we put the fish on the feeders. To allow a better cleaning of the tower, we have a false floor that we can remove and wash here. And also, to lower the temperature, we have a water sprinkling system, which is connected by the water is collected by a pump in front of the hacking tower, and then it comes to here. So when the birds are panting and are suffering, we open the water flow. The cages, the pens, are connected with the field base by closed-circuit television, by a CCTV, so we can watch what is going on within the cages from the field house. And then we have to collect the ospreys, which are collected with the help of our donor experts and voluntaries in both countries, Sweden and Finland. And you see here Bjorn and Bertie Saurila. And so they are taken from these two countries on a number of 6 per country each year. So after that they are translocated by air flight, and it's scheduled to arrive at the afternoon in order that when the birds are transported by car, after that to the hacking place, they don't suffer from high temperatures. So we go by night with them. And generally we arrive at 1 in the morning. This is the interior of the pen. Has an elevated, slightly elevated because of the false floor nest filled with branches and lined with softer material. We have 4 pens, so the birds are divided by these compartments according to their age and weight. So we put together the larger on one, the smaller on the other, and so on. And we provide food from the very lake, from the dam. It's collected by us with nets and fishing rods, and so they are, in the beginning, they are sliced in small pieces when the birds are still small, and then we gradually increase the size of the slices until we start providing parts of fish, whole fish. And when the birds are released, of course, they are fed by whole fish or parts of the whole fish. They are fed twice a day, 3 times a day during the cage period, and twice a day during the release period. Before releasing, we radio tag the birds to allow us following them around the dam and know what's happening with them, if they are active, where they are, if they are dead or alive. So about 9-10 weeks, we release 9 to 10 weeks of age, we release the birds, and by slowly opening the front panels before sunrise. And they are routinely observed from the distance, from in front of the hatching area, as they disperse into the woods when they're not feeding. We do this observation during and after the feedings. So in order that we can see where are the birds and which are present. We have also a perch scale, automatic perch scale to try weighing the birds while they are photographed by an automatic camera trap. So far we received 33 birds from both countries altogether, and we released 29. So some we couldn't be released because they had health problems. In the whole, we lost 7 birds, but of these 29 released, 3 had a premature dispersal, so we don't know effectively if they survived. Here you can see that we lost 1 bird by accident, and this accident means that in the structure of the cage something was not so well. So we could this year identify the cause, and we are going to correct it. But the birds have had problems with tendons and joints by pressing against the limits of the nest, the wooden frame of the nest, and by disease was these diseased birds had I will talk about that later. And by predation, we lost 3 birds, 2 by foxes after release, and then 1 by an eagle. The dispersed birds were in total 15 or 12 if the premature dispersal eventually means that the birds may not survive, and 11 females. We do routine health monitoring, which is done in the countries of origin, a second one when the birds arrive at Lisbon's airport on the airport facilities, and a third at mid-stage of the hatching period. But of course, whenever it is necessary and justified, our veterinary comes on and screens the bird. And in the meantime, samples are taken for hematology, parasitology, bacteriology, and virology analysis, and also especially to screen against avian influenza and avian flu and Newcastle disease, which is an obligation from our veterinarian authorities. The main health problems we found, as I said, 2 birds suffered from accidental tendon problems, one slip tendon and 1 complete rupture. 2 birds showed osteodystrophy with fragile bone tissue, skeletal malformations and caracoid luxation, or, in other cases, multiple fractures. These 4 birds were investigated at a veterinarian hospital and then treated at rehabilitation centers, but they couldn't survive. And even if they survived, they had survived, they were not fit for the reproduction program, as they missed the period of imprinting, and they missed the company of the others. So very likely they wouldn't be useful for the project itself. Then we investigated, because of this, we investigated the suspected calcium deficit this year, and it showed high calcium phosphorus imbalance. And the calcium values were normal, but phosphorus was very high. And so we are going to study this in deeper. The problem with the habitat suitability is that the trees are very low, so we provide artificial platforms in the islands. The legal and bureaucratic requirements, the main ones are the authorization from the donor countries, the CITES, in the case of Finland, and the veterinary certificates, which are required by our veterinarian authorities. Then, for public awareness and involvement, we produced a brochure, and I will give one copy to Elvira. And we are organizing sessions with hunters and fishermen and so on. The CBO, which is my research center, is responsible for the project. The sponsor is the Portuguese electric company. Our partners are, of course, the Finnish Museum of Natural England in our consulting board, and the Migros Foundation, because we have the Spanish, responsible for the Spanish project, also on our consulting board. And these are some of the main Portuguese partners and several supports.